It's Friday afternoon, and after being the first one here today, I believe I'm the last one in the building. So everybody's gone home for the weekend. It's District Fair Day here in Cape Girardeau. We have one more day of fair after 2 weeks. We've had a few law violations there, nothing, no felonies, nothing super important. One young man ended up in detention overnight for causing some type of minor peace disturbance, but he'll be released tomorrow after the fair's out. So that'll be a good thing to get the fair out of town without any problems. A few thoughts this afternoon on just on my day and some thoughts about the class. I had a surprisingly productive day, even though there's a lot of tension in this area because of the St. Louis verdict that came in today on the Jason Stockley case, not guilty verdict. We have many officers that are in St. Louis, and of course, friends, and from this office, former students of mine that are on the front lines as law enforcement officers, and we always worry about confrontation and somebody getting hurt, whether it's the demonstrators or the police. So, in my case, of course, I would know more enforcement officers than demonstrators, but it just goes both ways. I know absolutely nothing about that case other than what I've read in the paper. In time, I'll read the probable cause statements, I'll read the judge's summaries, I'll read the appeals. It's one of those cases that you should, if you're going to speak about it, you need to read every document you can find, and they'll all be online. If I'm asked later in the class, I'll try to produce those documents for you. It should be some interesting reading on what the evidence was and why the judge did not find that police officer guilty. So it'll be interesting to read. I just hope we have a safe weekend. Regarding the class and the measuring of crime, which was an issue in both of my classes that I teach right now, you looked up various databases, some that I recommended, some that you found, some really occasionally some online that who knows where they receive their stats from, which is okay. I just wanted you to get a flavor of what's out there in any jurisdiction on how many cases, what's going on in that jurisdiction, and how people count. The counting of crime is important. A lot of times things are overcounted. And the one point I wanted to make to you is that crime rates, basically, there's no way to measure it. There's so much hidden, so many unreported cases. And then also when you're looking at crime figures and say a jurisdiction has 54 felonies. Well, the assumption is that's 54 individual cases or 54 individuals going out and doing crime. Well, in actuality, it could be one incident that occurred in a matter of 30 seconds that has 8 felonies involved in it. It also can be one individual who might have committed 20 of those felonies over the course of 3 or 4 weeks. I've had that several times where one kid is a virtual crime wave in the community. We had a kid 2 years ago who did a series of burglaries on our main street in town, main business streets, and the judge, after so much time, let him out of detention, and we put an electronic monitor on his leg while he was awaiting court on those cases. And with the electronic monitor on his leg, he went back out at 2 a.m. with a sledgehammer and broke into 3 more businesses with a whole nother group of kids. And so we were looking at 25 cases, felony burglary, committed by basically one kid, who, by the way, is still committing massive numbers of burglaries as an adult and is going through the adult system now as an 18-year-old. So this is a contact sport. This is a have to get down and talk to officers to find out what the data means. Just somebody saying that their programs are data driven or that data drives what we do is it's basically crap. You have to talk to individual community people, both neighborhood people, victims, and police to measure crime. That's my basic lesson today for you. The other thing is when you're looking at positions in criminal justice or you're looking at departments, you need to find out who's doing the criminal justice analysis of the data. This is a new field, and this is something that many departments with communities over, say, 35, 40,000 have an officer in the building who is a designated data analysis officer. So in the past, where they would have someone to control evidence, an officer that would do fingerprint photographing, an officer that would specialize in gangs, an officer that would specialize in communications and public relations. Those are common specialties that officers can get in a department of many sizes. But now this data analysis and having to have someone describe the data and what it means when you get these reports is really important. And so look for a data analysis. Who does that in the department? If you hear no one does, and it's just something we report to the FBI occasionally when we think of it, well, you know you're not getting all the information. By the way, there is no penalty for not reporting to the FBI, which is why so many districts don't report. They're not getting grants. They're too small to write grants and get projects going. And so there's no downside to not reporting information. So let's enjoy our weekend. If you have assignments you need to finish up on, cover them this weekend and finish up so we can start the next week fresh. Thanks for being in the class.